Mr. Organ.
Hello, welcome back to Worldview Talk Show. I'm Chantel Zoe, and I'm your host. We are so happy and so thankful to have Norberto Cruz back for part 2, the dawning of Norberto Cruz. Norberto, what have you been up to since I've seen you last?
Well, praying a lot.
That's good.
Praying a lot because I know there's principalities in the air, and I know that God wants to do a good work through us and use our testimony to reach others that are still hurting and suffering, not just drugs and alcohol,
Right.
the whole picture.
Yes.
The whole man. That's
Yes.
basically what I've been concentrating on.
And that's very, very good. Got a lot of really great feedback from the last show, and I know that we could have gone on and on, which is why
yes.
we have this part 2 now. And I wanted to go into a little bit more about your family background, because I do believe that a lot of what we go through is not just, it doesn't just come from where we come from, but also it affects those around us. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your granddaughter and how you celebrated her life and everything like that.
Yeah, well, as far as my granddaughter, today she's a great blessing. She's 20 years old. She lives with me. She's going to college. She works 2 part-time jobs. She's a great young lady. She don't drink. She don't smoke. She don't go to partying as I knew how to party.
Okay.
I thank God that I was able to make that change, and God knew ahead of time, before the foundation of the earth, that she had to come to live with me. So I already had made that change, and gave her a better impression of the impression that I would have given her if she was able to see everything when she was born. It would have been ugly.
Okay, yeah.
It would have been ugly because I couldn't go see her simply because I partied in the way the world does with drugs and alcohol. I couldn't go see her that day she was born, and that haunts me to this day.
Why? Why does it?
Why? Because that's a cherished moment. That's a blessing from God.
It is, but I think it's important for you to realize, well, and I know that you're forgiven. I know that His grace is there, but I believe, and it sounds like you're in her life today.
Yes.
And if that doesn't bother her, I think that it is a precious moment, but what's more precious are the moments that you create and the memories you create after, and for all you know, you may have just protected her.
Yes.
Around that time and protected, even whatever was going on in your mind, for this new being that you would want to be there for, but you couldn't be there.
Yeah,
even
at that
for
moment
yourself.
it was impossible. It was impossible. It was, shame, and I just couldn't imagine. I also thought about it being the other way around, her being in my shoes,
Right.
and me being in that little baby bed, and me realizing that Grandpa, they came to see me and they were all busted up.
Right.
They were hurting, they were suffering, and the last ones to know it was them. The last one to know that things were really upside down in my life was me. But I'm okay with it.
That's good.
Like you mentioned, I'm okay with it simply because she sees a different man now. She sees how I'm involved with the church, and as a matter of fact, she helped me start. When I first got started doing the Overcomers Outreach in ICC, International Christian Center at 1501 Richmond Avenue. She came to help me out. She's like my little secretary. She and her mother too. Her mother was out there at one time too, and by the grace of God, she's okay now.
Okay, that's beautiful.
I prayed for her for a lot of years.
So she really gets to see. She's seen
what God has done.
The endurance of true testimony. Really.
Yes.
So I'm sure that is blessing her as well. And I'm sure she can go to you and say, Grandpa, abuelo,
Yeah.
I'm going through something. Can you help me? Because she knows that you've been really put under that pressure and you've endured through. So that's amazing.
Yeah, we're tight-knit, and it's just a great thing. But there's something that comes from me wanting to show her what my mother taught me.
Oh,
There's so much that came from my mother
yeah.
on how
That's
I
right.
reach out to those that are hurting, especially the younger people,
Mm-hmm.
because what they go through now could determine their future in a good way or in a bad way.
That's right. That's right.
So that's what's going on. And as far as the rest of my family, unfortunately also, but it's okay too because they see me different.
Mm-hmm.
My nephews, especially the boys, the girls are okay.
Usually, well, it can vary. I was gonna say
It can
usually that's how
vary.
it goes.
It can happen.
But usually the girls tend to, when they're a little younger, anyways, be a little more tamer, with the right surroundings and everything like that. So that's very, very good. I want to talk about what led you to your future now, your future you, which is finding Christ and the struggles that you experience to really pursuing for a better life.
Okay. Well, what led me to Christ was the pain and the suffering,
Right.
and the shame, the degradation, everything that comes with being an addict. I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sick and tired of trying to get up in the morning to go to work, trying to be functional, trying to wearing a mask.
Right.
And everybody, and there's so many people that I found out years after I stopped using that they told me they didn't even know that I used drugs.
Wow.
Because I always stood fit and always
Right.
stood active, and I was always funny and always having fun, but inside I was busted up. Inside I was
Wow.
hurting.
So you were a functioning addict.
Functioning addict.
For the things that
Whatever.
you really needed, right?
Yes, exactly. I needed to work. I needed to take care of the family. But so there came a point in time in my life, though, just a little before my granddaughter was born, that I got caught up and thinking that I could become Big Willie, as they say. A friend of mine came by and he enticed me. And it's funny how the devil works. I wanted to stop using already. All of a sudden, this guy pops up with a whole bunch of drugs. I hadn't seen him in years.
Okay.
So what did I do?
Right. You're like, oh, long time no see.
Long time
Good
no
times.
see. Here's a big package.
Right.
So I got caught up in that, and then eventually, because of that, he induced me into making a big drug deal.
Oh.
3 kilos of drugs.
So it wasn't just having fun anymore.
Yes, no. Now
it's making money.
Now it's making money, and
Now
I'm going to
it's
have
going
more drugs.
Truly dangerous waters.
Yes. So and then what happens that and then I found out that he was running from the police from Florida.
Oh, okay.
They had him on film.
Oh my goodness.
Selling to undercover. This guy, I grew up with him. I knew him since we were like 4 or 5 years old. But nobody wants to go behind bars, so they don't care who they take with them.
Yeah, even if that person wasn't even there.
Yes.
You just knew that he had the bait for you.
Yeah. So what happens? I fell for it. I called my connection. We started the transaction. My connection came to my house. I left work early, I remember, and it's like it happened yesterday. And then he came inside my apartment with an undercover. And as soon as I saw the guy, I told him, "Yo, you got us locked up."
Wow.
I smelled him. The guy, it was so funny though, and I'm glad all of that happened though. Now today I could say that I wasn't glad then because they gave me the beating of my life.
Right.
So the undercover that came in with him, he had a tag on his shirt.
Oh, that made it obvious it was.
Yeah, so he was trying to fit in the way he was dressing, and he looked like this basketball player, Larry Bird, blue eyes, blonde hair, tall, and he just didn't fit in.
Yeah.
So as soon as the guy, the undercover, opened up the package of cocaine, that my connection had come with a bodyguard.
Right.
He tasted it, and he grabbed my friend by the arm, and he pulled him outside. We were going to make $45,000.
Wow.
That was like $1 million to me.
Yeah.
But still, I wasn't seeing the big picture. I was blinded. I was doubting it. I shouldn't do it for the longest time. Finally, he convinced me. The more coke he gave me free, the more I got convinced to do something
right, because
like
then
that.
now you were completely
Then I was completely open.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah,
completely open.
completely open, as they say. So then all of a sudden, my the guy that I call my connection, he looked out my window. I live in a railroad apartment.
Right.
He looked out the window towards the front, and he seen cops.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, he had a helicopter above my house.
My goodness.
Everything was surrounded with TNT, That was the TNT squad drug program. And then I just froze. I see my connection cutting out the back window. He goes out with the package, right? And then his bodyguard goes out, and he has a 38 long nose, and he points it at me, clicks it 3 times, and it don't go off.
Talk about
That's
grace.
all God.
Yes.
That's definitely all God.
Yes,
And
yes.
there was maybe like a 20, 25-foot fence. They climbed that fence, went over the other side. This I found out years later. They stole some little kids' bicycles, 20-inch bicycles, and they just drove away.
Wow, classic.
But I still had to open the door for the cops to come in.
Oh my goodness.
So as they came in, they ransacked my apartment, and they didn't find nothing but bamboo. They didn't even find weed. They just found bamboo. So they were angry because they saw it wasn't there. They made a mistake. They didn't cover the back. And I got the beating of my life.
So, they knew it was there, but by the time they got there, the evidence was gone.
That was all
And you were
gone.
the only one there. So, how did that make you feel? What could they do? Were they just they were basically beating you to get information?
Yes, they wanted the name of the person, and I gave them the name of the person.
Right.
But I knew his nickname. I didn't know his name.
Oh, right, of course.
They never caught him.
Of course.
So again, that was all God. So what happens when they came in? They pushed me against the wall. They found a BB gun. A little BB gun like this, And then watch out. So they put the handcuffs on me, and at that time I used to work out a lot, and I was in really good shape, so on and so on. So he caught me. Imagine, I used to work out a lot. I was in great shape as far as the outside, but the inside was busted up.
Right,
my spirit was busted up. Who knows if my organs were busted up. And they probably were, because down the road I caught hepatitis C.
Right.
From all the junk going in my system. But God healed me from that.
Yeah, praise God.
God healed me from cancer.
Oh.
I'm like, God, why?
Oh,
because I wouldn't heal me. I wouldn't heal me if I was him.
Right.
I'm not that good. I don't love people that much.
That's why it's not your job.
That's how come he's God.
So would you say that was like your wake up?
Yes, that was really a wake-up call. But guess what? The addiction is so strong, and the draw to the drugs is so strong, because it gets you physically and mentally, that it still took me another 5 to 7 years to fully surrender to Christ.
Wow.
So that's how caught up I was. So, and I sit here to give God all the glory and honor. It's not about Norberto Cruz. It's not about what I did, because for me, I couldn't set myself free.
Right.
I could not set myself free. I could get clean for a week, but I couldn't get clean for 20 years like I got now.
Wow.
So anyway, I got it. The sergeant put the handcuffs on me. He started slapping my face. I had long hair at one time. Imagine that. Anyway, and a ponytail. So he grabbed my ponytail, and he was hitting my face on the floor. Boom, boom. But it didn't break my teeth, my nose, nothing. And he was hitting me with this part in my ribs and my stomach, and I was handling it because I was tightening up. I was in shape, at least on the outside. But then I got locked up.
Okay.
I got locked up for 2 weeks.
Okay.
It felt like
It felt like
100 years.
Oh goodness.
But guess what? God just freed me from that. I came out on a dollar bail.
Wow.
With no record.
Wow.
Again, that's all God.
Glory to God.
Because if I would have gotten a record, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now as far as going into the federal prison.
Right.
Because you can't go in there with a felony.
No.
So he's done some amazing things.
So let me ask
Amazing,
you,
amazing
when you were in
things.
jail,
Hmm.
I imagine you had a lot of alone time with yourself, and
Mhm.
also a lot of time that you wish you were alone and not around all those, people and things in there. Did you have your God moments in there? Were you seeking? Or were you just in frustration and saying something's got to
I
change?
was angry. I was angry at myself. But I did think about God. It's not like I didn't know how to pray. I just thought about God.
Yeah.
And I thought about everything that happened from that moment that they put the handcuffs on me till I was a little kid. And I started thinking, what led me to this life?
Right.
What has led me to this life? And I came to the conclusion it's people, places, and things. My
Yes.
home life,
Right.
the environment, the society I grew up in. And I didn't even blame, but I wasn't blaming nobody else
Right.
because Bible tells us when I was a child, I did things and I thought like a child. When I got older and mature, we have to make mature choices.
Yes.
So I was mature enough already.
Okay.
But what happens when you're caught up in an addiction, maturity is out the door.
Right.
Addiction is your prime objective to get the next one. So, excuse me, while I was in there, I definitely thought about that I had to make a change.
Right.
But I said, God, I don't know how to do this.
Right.
I don't know how to let this go. I can't live without this. Right now in my mind, this is what, I didn't say it out loud, but it went through my mind.
Right.
I can't live without this. I remember when I first discovered smoking weed, I said, I'm going to smoke weed the rest of my life.
Right.
Oh, this is so good. And then when I found out cocaine, I'm going to do this the rest. And then when I found out liquor, and then so I was really caught up. And again, I have no regrets. I have no regrets because for me to sit here and do this for the glory of God and not for me, so others could come to that point to realize that God is a way maker.
Right.
And he's a chain breaker.
Absolutely.
And where there seems to be no way, he is the way, the truth, and the life.
The way.
Just so he parted the Red Sea for me.
That's beautiful.
The Red Sea and that giant in my life. That giant in my life was drugs and the pain and the suffering that I was carrying, that I went through when I was younger, and that anger that I had all the time. Because why did I have to go through that? I couldn't figure that out. So he released me from that. He broke those chains.
Yeah.
I was not in prison, but I was imprisoned in here.
Right.
So that's what led a lot of people that I knew, that I grew up with, to the lifestyle they chose. Because anger. I have a friend of mine that his father used to put a belt around his neck and make him walk around the house and bark like a dog.
No.
And he used to give him the beatings that I used to hear across the hall. I mean, terrible, terrible. So what this kid turned out to be, a criminal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And his brother also.
Wow.
As a matter of fact. And he did 22 years in prison.
My goodness.
He came out a different person, but he couldn't let go
of the old person,
of the old pain and suffering.
Oh, wow.
He let go of that lifestyle.
Right.
They got him locked up. So, but he couldn't let go of that person and deal with the stuff that was done to him, because all he knew as a little kid to adulthood was pain. So what happens, about a month and a half ago, I did a wake.
Right.
Where was it? In the Bronx. And it was him. He died.
Wow.
He died from overdose.
Wow. Yeah, when you have so much pain,
yes,
all you know how to do
is try and cover the pain.
Cover the pain with more pain.
Yes, so, but I know that he accepted Christ.
Oh, that's beautiful.
He started coming around, and I used to take him to church with me. So that's what God does. The God of all comfort comforts those that need comforting.
Yes.
So when they're going through the same troubles you could become a comforter. He won't take away your pain sometimes when we ask for comfort.
Right.
But he wants us to be able to comfort somebody else. So that's what I live for now, to be able to comfort. If I could just smile, give somebody a smile, and it could turn.
A smile goes a long
Exactly.
way. I'm a big fan. I'm a
Yes,
big believer of a
yes.
smile and a hug, or even a wave,
Mm-hmm.
a compliment, anything that is unexpected.
Yes.
People love that because so many times they expect, a frown. They expect, you to be grumpy or for you to be, either envious or jealous of what you might have.
The world is like so angry.
So angry,
It's
and
so angry.
sometimes, they're not always angry, but they become angry because of situations that happen time and time
Circumstances,
and time
situations,
again.
yeah.
But when you have the joy of the Lord, and you know where it's not just your happiness, but it's where your true joy that's everlasting, where that comes from, then you can pass it on to other people. It's
Amen.
like
Amen.
you end up rubbing it off on other people, because if you notice, if someone else being angry around you all the time, you become the same way.
Or somebody has a complaining spirit all the time, angry. Like nothing ever goes right for them. But it's because they're not going deeper and realizing, we have to meet our giants.
We do.
And God helped me meet that giant, like David, with a sling and a stone. Right? He killed
Shades
the giant.
that giant with
right?
the little stone.
Yes, a sling and a stone. That's all he needed. But what happens is that we have to meet those giants, God doing the fighting for us.
Right.
So I couldn't set myself free. As I started drawing near to God, then He started doing wonderful things in my life. He helped me deal with the loss of my first wife. He helped me deal with the loss of my mother a few years apart. And then He gave me an awesome wife, second wife, who could have two awesome wives.
Right.
That's all I want. That's all I want. But and has helped me deal with life on life's terms, health issues, financial issues. We all have financial issues. We all have some health issues. Also, it's the battles of the mind. And also, that's why I like to step up and help those that right now can't help themselves.
Right. That's important.
Like yesterday, I did this Overcomers program, and it was so awesome that as I sat there and I was thinking about taking a personal inventory of myself. I have to do that often.
Yes, we
and
all
ask
do.
God, what is it that I need to change, so I could be a better use for you, not for me.
Yes, for Him. That was my devotional this morning.
Oh, look at that! See how God works,
Yes.
right? So what happens?
Because that's all a part of it, Tell me a little bit more about the outreach program that you are a part of.
Yeah, the outreach program is a 12-step Christ-centered program, and it's about surrender.
That's beautiful.
It's about surrender, and coming to believe that only a power greater than ourselves could set us free.
Yes.
And from insanity, give us some sanity. From powerlessness, come to realize that our powerlessness is okay. The world has taught us that powerlessness is weakness, but our power is what made perfect.
Made perfect.
Right?
Right. It's in our prayer time.
Yes,
it's in our intimacy.
yes.
It's
So,
in our recognition of, I need to not be selfish of everything that I need and everything that I'm going through. But why am I going through this? And how can I help someone else so I can take my focus off of me?
yes,
Because when you
yes.
focus so much on what's going wrong in your life, then it gets heightened more and more and more. You talk about
We give it energy.
We give it a space to live. And we say, this
We
thing right
water
here
it like a plant.
is bigger than the great I am. And He's saying, no, please do the opposite so I can come in and kick them out.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
And so with overcomers, that's what being an overcomer is.
Yes.
You're
And
kicking out all those giants because you're overcoming them. You're not just putting them to the side, putting on a Band-Aid. So it's beautiful to hear there's a 12-step program that is rooted in Christ. And then the name of this program again
It's
is?
Overcomers Outreach,
Okay.
and it's every Tuesday. I do it every Tuesday, and guess what? Every Tuesday I don't feel like going. Some Tuesdays I would just want to chill out home.
Yeah.
My wife comes home from work, just chill out with her, maybe do a little study with her and this and that. But I have to be vigilant. Why? Because I think of the day that that if I would cancel, I think that's the day maybe one person shows up
That's all
that needs help.
Yes, it's all about that one.
So my prayer is, always, Lord, just send one.
Yes.
Just send one person that's hurting.
Yes.
So what happens? Yesterday, I went and I go pick people up.
That's beautiful.
There's people that are coming back from addiction. They can't afford a car. They can't afford to travel.
Right.
So I pick them up. You know,
That's
I don't have a problem with that. And this past weekend, I stood in church Sunday for 3 services to make a presentation during the service, and one guy showed up. One new person showed up, and that was all the joy that I needed.
Yes.
And I thanked the Lord for that, because what happens with these people here, there's renewing of the mind.
Yes.
That means they have to be retrained on how to think.
Absolutely.
You know, Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world,
No.
but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and then you will know God's perfect will for you."
Yes.
You know, and that's what this program is all about.
And as you do that, you know, because overcoming anything has a lot to do with trust. Trust not in yourself, but trusting in the one that you're saying, hey, I need help.
And the one that you can't see, right?
And in
so
this
to
case,
believe by faith,
in this one you're
and not
activating
by sight.
faith.
Yes.
But, you know, I was studying the scripture about trust in the Lord with all your heart.
And lean
not on your own understanding. Because if you try to sit there and say, I've been addicted for all this time, I've been in a hole and I have no job, I have no family anymore, how do I do it? But for them to all come together and hear the testimonies of how God did it in their lives, that they didn't do it in their own shape or form, but they did it in the surrenderance to the Lord and say, look, I'm at my weakest, please come in and take over.
And that's when God works.
Yes.
When we are broken, when we're on our knees, that's when we fight our best battles.
Yes, it is.
When we're our shortest, we fight our best battles.
When we're shortest, we're our tallest, right?
Yeah, we're our tallest, you know. So it's an awesome thing to sit there and get honest with each other. This program is about honesty.
Right.
It's about surrendering your will to God, asking Him to move your character defects, taking inventory, humility, making amends with others.
Right.
Why? Because during this run, I hurt a lot of people.
Right.
Because addiction is selfish. Addiction does not care who
really
you
doesn't.
hurt, who you bring down, who you knock down.
Because addiction, at the end of the day, if you don't care about hurting yourself,
why should you care
you
about
definitely don't care about hurting anyone else.
Yes. So I had to make, I never forget making amends with my mother. And she said, you don't have to. But I said, I have to say it.
Right.
Because that frees me.
Right.
Making amends with my first wife, making amends with my son, and anybody else that I had to make amends. But you have to be careful, though. There's certain people that you have to, ask for
and
discernment.
I'll see you later.
Yes, because they might not want it.
And they may not understand.
And
either.
they may not understand. Maybe they were hurt too much.
Yes.
And
not just by you. Hurt
by others.
People and others who have said, I'm sorry, that did the same thing.
And how many
over and over
times I'm
again.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like I tell my wife this sometimes. I have to catch myself. One of the reasons I say about making amends, because the old man in me is super hyper, and he could jump at something and the wrong words come out of his mouth, because I sit here as an imperfect human being.
Right.
Okay, I've been washed clean and regenerated by the blood of the Lamb, but I'm still got this flesh. So the old man wants to come out. And so I tell my wife, when I know that I messed up, I tell her, what's my middle name? I'm sorry. She says it, I'm sorry. So that's why this program is so good.
Right.
It constantly makes you look at yourself instead of looking at the speck in your brother's eye.
Right.
It makes you look at the plank in your own eye.
Yes. That's something that's so important, and we can go on and on about that. But we might have to make one more part to this. If not, I thank you for 2A. I thank you so much for coming in and viewing Worldview Talk Show yet again with Norberto Cruz. And we pray that we have blessed you and saved even one soul watching this. We thank you so much for being open to hearing us and to come back for our next episode. Also, feel free to find us on YouTube, Worldview Talk Show, to find more episodes.